Hi, we're back. So what does GRI 1 say about the other rules? Well, GRI 1 tells you that you may have to use them. Take, for an example, an unfinished automobile. There is no section or chapter notes on unfinished automobiles. There is no 4-digit heading for unfinished automobiles, so we cannot classify it using the headings or the legal notes. We therefore must apply GRI 2. How about unassembled clock movements? We have in 9109 clock movements complete and assembled. We cannot use GRI 1 as the clock movements must be complete and assembled. Therefore, once again, we have to go to GRI 2. According to GRI 1, chapter titles have no legal significance. Take, for example, Section 15, Base Metal and Articles thereof. When we look at the section notes, we find that pistols are in Section 19, appliances and machinery in Section 16, and metal furniture in Section 20. Looking at Chapter 62, we find that it consists of apparel not knitted or crocheted. However, under heading 62.12, we find bras and corsets, whether knitted or crocheted. Chapter titles are only used to help you find the correct provision. You cannot use them to classify an article. The same rule applies to the index. In the index, we will find many entries that may help us locate a product. An entry may indicate a section or chapter, or may indicate a 4-digit heading. An entry may give you a range of harmonized tariff numbers or a definition. There are many ways that an entry may be listed in the index, but you cannot use it or cite it when classifying a product. The table of contents lists sections and chapter titles to help you find a classification. Sometimes you have to think of another name for the product or what other name it could be called. For example, automobile wheels or vehicles and parts. The same with computers and automatic data processing machines. In the Harmonized Tariff Book, parts are normally found toward the end of the chapter and manufactured goods toward the end of the tariff. Remember that the table of contents, alphabetical index, and titles to sections, chapters, and subchapters are provided only for the ease of reference. They have no legal significance. As mentioned previously, and as I will probably mention throughout this presentation, the level of provisions has to do with headings and subheadings. The heading is assigned 4 digits and a description of a product. If we look at heading 1604 once again, we find that it is prepared or preserved fish. In our sardine example, we went to the 6-digit heading, .13. Now we are going to a 6-digit heading for salmon, which is 1604.11. Under the 6-digit heading, our product falls into the 8-digit heading, 11.20, in oil and airtight containers. Now we have a statistical provision in the 9th and 10th digits as someone in the government wants to know what kind of salmon went into the can. It can either be pink, sockeye, or other. Before we conclude Part 1, I want to show you what can happen if you stray from the 4- or 6-digit heading and get ahead of yourself using EO Nominee or GRI 1. A question from a recent exam asked the test taker to classify a snakeskin anorak. First thing you have to know is what an anorak is. An anorak is a hooded pullover type jacket, and this one is made of snakeskin. The choices we are offered at the 4-digit level include 6201, 6101, 6102, and 4203. Looking up only the 4-digit heading in the Harmonized Tariff Book, we find that 61 and 62 only have to do with textiles and do not apply. So we are left with the 4-digit heading of 4203. 4203 is articles of apparel and clothing accessories, or leather, or composition leather. So we are in the right ballpark. 43.10 takes us to articles of apparel. Directly under that is 4203.10.2000 of reptile leather. And as 4203.10.2000 is one of our choices, we should stop there. However, just a little bit down the page we find the word anorak. Our eye is surely drawn to the word anorak as this is what we are classifying and would be by name. But look where the anorak is listed under 4203.10.40. Other, or other than reptile leather. Our anorak is of reptile leather, and we should stop at the provision for reptile leather, which is 4203.10.2000. Don't let custom suck you into something that is incorrect. This brings us to the conclusion of Part 1. Please continue to Part 2 so that you can hear the rest of the story.